What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlemania here, back with another episode. Since I'm absolutely crap at maths, or logic for that matter, the last list covered wasn't actually 10, it was 11. But check that video out before you watch this one. This list will now cover 11 of the most mediocre manias, and we still got 10 of the best to come. These 11 were the manias that were hit and miss, not good or bad. They weren't the worst, they were just meh. Again, we'll start right at the bottom of the list, which you could still argue as being a crappy mania. Number 21, Wrestlemania 32. Last year's event set an attendance record for the WWE, but it didn't excuse what was an overlong, boring show, with last year's pay-per-view becoming an Iron Man event for any fan who sat through the 2-hour warm-up show, then 5 hours of the actual event. No amount of quantity could make up for the lack of quality on this show, with most fans wondering when the damn thing would actually end. Ambrose vs Lesnar in a no-holds-barred street fight served as another squash to get Lesnar over. The much-anticipated Hell in a Cell match between Shane McMahon and The Undertaker went 30 minutes, but proved disappointing other than Shane O'Mac's traditional insane spot of him flying off the top of the cage through the announcer table, Chris Jericho vs AJ Styles, and the triple threat match involving Charlotte, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch competing for the inaugural WWE Women's Championship were both excellent, but with 7 hours of wrestling, fans expected a lot more. On a side note, no one was surprised when Dave Meltzer jumped all over the WWE's claim of an attendance record, showing his dedication to the important issues in wrestling rather than whether a full moon or psychotropic drugs inspired Stephanie McMahon's bizarre promo before Hubby Hunter's Mania main event. Number 20, WrestleMania 2000 aka WrestleMania 16. The 4-man elimination match between WWF Champion Triple H, The Big Show, The Rock and Mick Foley was spiced up by the presence of the various members of the McMahon family in each wrestler's corner. However, Mick Foley had just lost a retirement match, so it made no sense to put him in the match, especially when it should have been Chris Jericho. The triangle ladder match between WWF Tag Team Champions the Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian stole the show, but frankly, there wasn't much else to steal the show from. A 2-4 series between Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle over the Intercontinental and European Championships wasn't given enough time, taking away what could have been the match of the night. So many missed opportunities. Number 19, WrestleMania 5. Give the WWF credit for masterfully booking the main event between two former friends and Mega Powers partners, Hulk Hogan and WWF champion Randy Macho Man Savage. When Hogan took time off to film the celluloid crapfest known as No Holds Barred, the WWF put the championship on Savage, setting up the alliance of Hogan and Savage to crumble due to Savage's jealousy and guarantee a hot main event for WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers exploded at WrestleMania, featuring a fantastic match including the intrigue of which wrestler Miss Elizabeth would side with. The crowd at Trump Plaza was much livelier than it was the previous year. Despite 13 matches, the undercard featured little in terms of storylines other than Jake Roberts vs Andre the Giant, Strikeforce vs Demolition and Rick Rude vs The Ultimate Warrior. We'd mention Bobby Heenan vs the Red Rooster, but we'd be lying if we said that anyone actually cared about that. Number 18, WrestleMania 21. Given the fact that this show launched both Batista and John Cena as main event players, you'd think that this one would be amongst the good WrestleManias. However, neither Batista or Cena put on anything you'd call a WrestleMania moment. The inaugural Money in the Bank ladder match was excellent, as was Shawn Michaels' battle with Kurt Angle. When you factor in the terrible Akebono vs Big Show sumo match though, you have a show that failed to live up to some big hype beforehand, including the well-down thumbs down angle where Batista left Evolution to challenge Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Number 17, WrestleMania 25. Fans will forever debate which match was the greatest WrestleMania bout of all time. WrestleMania 3's Randy Savage vs Ricky Steamboat match, or WrestleMania 25's match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Michaels vs The Undertaker clearly stole the show, and arguably should have been the main event. Instead, the WWE put on the languid world title matches, including a triple threat match between World Heavyweight Champion Edge, Big Show and John Cena, along with the WWE Championship match between Triple H and Randy Orton. That year's Money in the Bank ladder match proved entertaining as expected, but the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, including the ridiculous win by Santina Marella, was nothing more than a bathroom break match. Even worse, the handicap match between Chris Jericho and WWE legends Ricky Steamboat, Roddy Piper and Jimmy Snuka was completely unnecessary, doing nothing to get Jericho over and embarrassing the legends. Number 16, WrestleMania 12. While the Bret Hart vs HBK Iron Man match was good, the match has become legendary, with both men putting on the best match of their careers for the WWE Championship. This though is the only match to brag about, bar the semi-good Taker vs Diesel bout, which was surprisingly okay for two big men. The quick squash Warrior had over Helmsley, together with the mess that was the Hollywood backlot brawl between Piper and Goldust, a match that was originally intended for Razor Ramon, showing that this Mania was a quarter good and 3/4 bad. Number 15, Wrestlemania 8. This Mania showcased two terrific tussles, Bret Hart vs Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship and Randy Savage vs Ric Flair for the WWF Championship. Both matches were well hyped, with the face vs face bout of Hart vs Piper and the infamous Elizabeth was damaged goods angle by Flair, alleging he'd had Elizabeth before Savage. The main event was anything but, with Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice stumbling through over 12 taxing minutes, including a botched finish where Papa Shango took longer to get to the ring than Stephen Hawkins would have, forcing Sid to kick out of Hogan's leg drop. The rest of the card was filler. Owen Hart vs Skinner, need we say more? Number 14, WrestleMania 3. This was the event that put the WWF on top of the wrestling industry and showed fans that the WWF could give them both matches built on hype, i.e. Andre vs Hogan, and matches built on ring work, i.e. Savage vs Steamboat. The problem was that they didn't give the fans much of anything else, save for a nice send-off to Roddy Piper, who was leaving to strike it rich in Hollywood. Whether or not you consider King Kong Bundy squashing a midget wrestler as a WrestleMania moment may impact your feelings on this show's spot in our rankings. The WWF reported this show as a record-breaking sellout of 93,000 plus, and even though Dave Meltzer shit all over the numbers, claiming that it was actually 78,000, the place was packed, reflecting on how big the wrestling industry was growing at the time. Number 13, WrestleMania 30. This night was Daniel Bryan's moment of triumph, and a rare display where the WWE listened to the fans, despite thinking they know what's best for them. However, the WWE also seemed to take it out on the fans by allowing Brock Lesnar to break The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. While it's obvious the WWE did so to put Lesnar over, its recent handling of Lesnar, i.e. making him a part-time wrestler to Bill Goldberg's personal job boy, makes the win an unwise move in hindsight, and an insult to The Undertaker's dedication to the WWE. Was Taker's loss a surprise? Yes. Was it necessary? No. Number 12, WrestleMania 23. This was a show that not only looked good on paper, but delivered for the most part. The third annual Money in the Bank ladder match lived up to the previous year's reputation, with Mr. Kennedy scoring a surprise win. Benoit vs MVP was good, and The Undertaker vs Batista nearly stole the show, with both men working their asses off to put on a WrestleMania-worthy match. The Battle of the Billionaires bout involving Mr. McMahon's proxy Umaga against Donald Trump's proxy Bobby Lashley ended up being a lot of fun, capped off not only by McMahon being shaved bald, but special referee Stone Cold Steve Austin hitting the stunner on future Hall of Famer and President Donald Trump. The Shawn Michaels vs John Cena match was solid, and even two undercard stinkers like Kane vs the Great Khali and Melina vs Ashley couldn't ruin the show. Number 11, WrestleMania 31. While fans had a good idea Seth Rollins would cash in his Money in the Bank championship match at the Showcase of the Immortals, few fans expected what would happen in the main event. First, what looked like another squash by WWE World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar turned into a fantastic comeback story as Roman Reigns went to Suplex City but refused to give up. Roman's counter-offense had fans thinking Reigns might be the man to unseat Lesnar, but Seth Rollins' timely arrival led to Rollins stealing the win by pinning Reigns. The undercard had some excellent matches, including the spot-fest-filled 7-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, a grudge match between Randy Orton and the Authority Seth Rollins, and a battle of the Macabre between Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. The much-hyped bout between WCW icons Sting and Triple H was saved by a large helping of nostalgia as members of D-Generation X and later the New World Order came out to help Triple H and Sting respectively. Add in a spice of Ronda Rousey and The Rock delivering the smackdown to Triple H and Stephanie, and you had a show that was pretty close to everything it promised. Well guys, that wraps up part 2 of this 3-parter special, ranking every single WrestleMania in history. Please tune in for our 3rd part covering the 10 best WrestleManias of all time. Again, if you didn't disagree with the list, that's cool and all, but just keep it chill in the comments below. Subscribe if you already haven't, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.